Greetings from Ken Wall. Today is Mother's Day 2021. In the Bible, there have been many great mothers. Today, I'm going to tell you about a few of them. And then I'm going to conclude with who I consider one of the great mothers of all time. And when you hear the story that I'm going to tell you, you will agree that I am exceedingly biased. Well, let me start with Eve, the very first woman created by God. I'd like to say that obviously Eve, she had the greatest marriage in the entire world at that time. And when she gave birth to her first child, she was by far the greatest mother in the entire world. And I'm sure that none of you can disagree with that statement. Well, the next woman I want to tell you about is Naomi. I consider Naomi to be one of the most loving and caring women in the entire Bible. Unfortunately, Naomi's two sons died at a very early age. Because of this, she decided to go back to her hometown of Bethlehem. Well, her daughter-in-law, Ruth, decided to go with her. And even though Naomi tried to dissuade her, she was going to go no matter what. And I think that this shows how much love that Naomi had showed Ruth that she was willing to do this. And on the way back, Ruth said these 4 lines that I think you'll agree are some of the most romantic things ever said. Ruth said, and I like to quote from the Living Bible, "Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God." You know, truly romantic things that have been said in thousands upon thousands of marriages over the years. The next woman I want to tell you about is Hannah. Hannah, no matter how hard she tried, she was not able to conceive. And this greatly distressed her. She cried out to God day after day, year after year, "Please God, give me a child." And she said, "God, if you give me a child, I will dedicate that child to God for the rest of their lives, or the rest of their life." Well, God heard her prayer, and to her was born a son. His name was Samuel, and Samuel became one of the greatest prophets in the entire Old Testament. Let's fast forward to the New Testament. I want to tell you the story about Zechariah and his wife Elizabeth. Once again, for some reason, Elizabeth was not able to have children. And at the time of this story, Elizabeth was well past the age of being able to bear children. And of course, Zechariah was getting on in years. But the neat thing is that with God, all things are possible. Now, Zechariah was a priest. And one day, it was his turn to go into the temple to burn incense. As he was doing so, all of a sudden, the archangel Gabriel was standing beside him. Of course, as you can imagine, he was just scared out of his mind. The angel calmed him down, and the angel said to him, "Zechariah, God has heard your prayers. You are going to have a son, and his name is going to be John." Well, I love the response. Zechariah looks at the angel and says, "Well, Gabriel, it's nice that you say that, but I'm an old man, and my wife Elizabeth is far past the age of having children." Once again, with men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. I like to say that what Zechariah said, it just royally ticked off the archangel Gabriel. And Gabriel looked at him and said, from this moment onward, until your son John is born, you are not going to be able to speak. Immediately, he couldn't speak. He came out of the temple, and everyone knew that a miracle had happened because he couldn't speak. Wow. Now, I like to say this, is that Zechariah is walking home. The entire time that he's walking home, he's saying to himself, I'm going to have a son. I can't believe this. I'm going to have a son. He is totally elated about that. And I like to say, and he knew that he was going to have this wonderful, intimate time with his wife that night, and they were going to have a child. Well, as everyone, or many of you know, Elizabeth bore a son, and he became known as John the Baptist, the one who announced the coming of Jesus. And John was the one who also baptized Jesus. So Elizabeth was blessed with a son who became one of the most important men in all of history. Well, continuing, by far the most famous mother in history was Mary, who gave birth to God. And there is not a mother out there that can top that. Jesus changed the course of all mankind for the better. And because of Jesus, it is now because of him that all of us have the opportunity, the privilege of having eternal life. What a wonderful privilege that is. Now, I want to tell you about who I consider one of the most wonderful mothers in the entire world. Her name is Darlene, the love of my life. I like to say Darlene has been a mother extraordinaire. She has dedicated her life to bringing up her children in a loving, caring environment. She has always been there for them. She has spent many a sleepless night looking after them when they've been sick. At nighttime, for all three of them, she has always read them bedtime stories. Darlene has always made these incredible costumes for our kids when they were younger. She made church costumes, school costumes, and amazing Halloween costumes. Then, any night that the kids needed help with their homework, she was always there for her. She is incredibly gifted academically. When she was at Teachers College, at the end of the year, they had to write a final exam that covered all the math and chemistry curriculum. And when the exam was marked, she placed first overall of all these hundreds of students that were at the University of Toronto. And if you look behind me, this piano was because of that. She received this bursary, a cash prize, because she placed first overall. And so now every time we enjoy the piano, we think about how wonderfully gifted she is. She is the queen of being a mother. And lastly, our children, Daniel, Christina, and Laura, love her with all their hearts. And now our daughter-in-law, Anne-Marie, also loves her. And the neat thing is that she also loves me, and I love her with my whole heart. May the good Lord be with you until we meet again.